Hey, welcome to another beautiful day in the tech capital of the world, Kernersville, North Carolina. Bobby Davis, CEO and founder of Coder Foundry. Hey, Kevin, man, have you heard the big news in North Carolina?
What's that? Did it snow?
Toyota could have went anywhere in the world, but you know what? They opened up a battery plant in North Carolina. It's just like yet
They
another
did.
reason to own and start your business in this great state of North Carolina. It's
There you
just
go. Definitely.
really
Here you
good
go.
place to be.
Here's the story. Look, so I totally saw this. Yeah, a 1.3 billion dollar
1.3
battery plant.
billion,
So not
billion,
only
man.
just a
With a
not only
B.
just a car plant, which so we
Yeah.
already have a Honda plant here, don't we? Already, there's a Honda
Yep.
plant. So
They make
Honda's
the
already
Honda
here.
Jet. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right
they
here
make the
in
Honda. Yeah.
Greensboro. Yeah.
Right here in Greece. So I drove past that building. It's cool. It's on the top of that hill
Yeah.
thing. Looks
Yeah.
cool. But now this, over $1 billion battery plant. Now, in North Carolina for
Yeah, and we
Toyota.
have
So very cool.
people don't know this too. Right here in Kernersville, it's Caterpillar. The big plant in Caterpillar is right here in Kernersville, like literally down the street from where I'm
Yep.
at.
Yep.
The biggest building you'll ever see.
So some of these jobs
People
too, I
built
guess, are going to
walls.
be dev jobs too, right? We've seen
There's
that
gonna be
somewhere too.
thousands upon thousands of dev jobs. They're actually partner with community colleges to train them up. So
That's cool.
I'm sure Coder Foundry will get involved with them and reach out to them and
Yeah,
which our students will be working at Toyota
yeah,
soon.
definitely.
So like
That'll be awesome.
That's not to humble brag, but we do have companies reaching out to us every day, asking us for help finding .NET developers. So like, even if you don't come to Coder Foundry, Kevin, what we're telling people is learn .NET, like learn C Sharp. It is beyond hot. I mean, like it's beyond hot. Like
It's only
everyone
going
is,
up.
is using it. It's just going up. And so it's not us being Microsoft fanboys or proponents. It's just like people are ringing my phone and saying, "Hey, we'd love to see some .NET people," and they're hiring for junior positions and 1 years and 2 years and mids and seniors. It's all over the board. So like, we have lots of interviews for students. Our Coder Foundry grads going off today and this week.
That's the thing. Well, they're calling
The
the
week
right
before
place.
Christmas, we have a guy have his
Yeah.
first day starting tomorrow, like on a Wednesday, week before
Which is
Christmas.
crazy. If you're
Yeah.
ever in the staffing world, right, you'll notice like what happens about
No, it's-
mid-December to early December is it just crashes.
It
Most
just
every
crashes.
year it just goes to nothing because nobody's
Yeah.
hiring because everybody's budget gets put on freeze. Nobody wants
Or
to
they're
work
just
over
on
Christmas
vacation.
hiring somebody.
Yeah,
They're
yeah.
always on vacation. So there's all
Yeah.
kinds of reasons why December is a bad month to get hired, except this December.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy because I was talking to the student and he was like, "Yeah, man," he says, like, I start on Wednesday and then the very next week I'm only working 1 day, and I'm like, "Welcome to corporate America, baby. You get paid to go away." Like it's
Exactly.
awesome.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
if you're looking for a new career, we'll just do a shameless plug: learn.coderfoundry.
Oh.
Just put it up there. Yeah, and if you're looking for something, just check us out. Check out .NET. Check us out, and then we'll help you out find that new job. But we got some other kind of exciting news in the industry. How the industry is shipping up and changing pretty quick.
Yeah, we do.
Like
I
when
saw
we
this
made
story this
that
morning.
JavaScript's going to die video.
Yeah, it's kind of playing out. It's playing out so far.
Just, I know I'm not Tony Stark, but like, look at this. They're staffing up for building an OS for an unknown, innovative AR device. Exactly what I'm telling you right now is, listen to me, people. The screen shift is coming, and it's going to come very quick.
Yep.
Yep.
So
They're building this. Also, one of the things we said too, which is interesting, that I just surmised that this is what would happen. I said, it might be built on iOS and it might be built on something completely different. Google is building a brand new OS for this, which tells me that phone OSs, in general, the way they are, the state of them, and I would say the same thing holds true for Apple or Android, is they just can't do the things that they want. And that's why when you look at things like AR Toolkit and like the existing things that you can kind of do it today aren't going to be around, because this is going to be a brand new OS with a brand new set of tools and a brand new way to do stuff. And I think that this shift is coming, and the people that jump on this shift will stand to do really well.
Yep. What was super interesting in this too is that, so this guy just joined as the head of this. Basically, he posted a job posting. This is the job posting. So looking for senior software engineer, embedded systems, augmented reality OS.
Notice it's AR and not VR. Notice that, like,
explicitly
Google
AR.
is going straight for AR, and that's why I think Facebook ultimately is in the wrong game. I think they're making a gaming platform. The AR platforms will be the business platform, and I'm telling you that's where all the jobs are going to be. Like there'll be some people making games and population one, all that kind of stuff will be huge, but there's going to be all these unknown business apps that get pushed to these AR platforms. And this is Google. This isn't like, you got to know C and C++.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And also one of the big things that was here that was interesting, they would like somebody to know how to performance optimize for ARM processors.
Yeah.
So,
so it looks like it's going to be built on a Linux kernel. So they're probably taking the Linux out.
Yeah. So again, but ARM like coming back from obscurity, right, to like basically power these devices. It looks like, and in C and C++ for this OS. So it makes sense. Yeah. Kind of interesting stuff. I was like, oh, that's up our alley. That's what we're talking about.
So if you're a C++ guy and you've got 5 years experience, PhD or master's, I mean, like apply to Google. You're going to work on the forefront of a big change, and I think that's kind of exciting. A lot of people are going to take advantage of this and do really well. There's going to be some companies that spring up too that compete directly with Google. But go back to that article.
It's interesting though. Look, I'm just coupling with some books. I don't think so. I think we're going to see way sleek this next time. You watch. We're going to see way sleek this next time.
So like if you look at the Bose headsets right now, the ones that you can listen to music on, but let me go one more time. Go down here. I want you to notice what's motivating them a little bit too. You scroll on down the article, if you read through it.
Oh yeah, this part right here. I know what you're talking about.
So read that paragraph to it.
Yeah,
to
them,
and so they understand kind of.
So they made an acquisition for somebody, which is why they're saying some of the jobs at this other company, Focal Smart Glass, it's an acquisition they made. So some of these jobs are posted in Canada, some are posted in Northern California. And then, so between that acquisition of that company and these job openings, it's like Google's increasingly serious about developing and releasing more AR hardware. And the renewed interest can't come soon enough, with Apple rumored to be releasing a mixed reality headset of its own early next year.
Next year.
So that's what they're saying. That's the motivation, isn't it? It's like, we need to get back in this game, like, hard now.
Quick. Because, like, and then you got to understand, Google is... an OS company. They make Android. They make some tooling, but predominantly, I mean, like they're making their living on Android and smartphones. And guess what? They're not going to be doing if the smartphone is going to be replaced by some AR device. They're not going to be selling Android or licensing Android out to all those device manufacturers. And so, if everyone's shifting it, they better be on the top of their game. And so, what they want to do is do exactly what they did in smartphone. Release the OS for AR devices now that people can build their platforms on. Because trust me, they must know this, because people must be calling them and like, hey, I'm trying to build this thing and Android quite doesn't do what I need. Can we get some help there? That's why they're staffing a whole division for this. And just pay attention to this. And I think learning C# is going to be something that you'll want to do, because I think you'll be able to build these cross-platform devices pretty easily.
So this too, look like this. Just finished a Fizz Buzz, instructed, responded, and help on the self-paced goals was great. That helped me get unstuck. So I'm guessing that was Andrew probably helping here. Not a paid advertiser. Thank you, Jonathan. I'm assuming that was Andrew who helped you there. That's awesome. Shout out to Andrew.
Yeah, one of the things that we have done in the last, say, month is a lot of people, we didn't anticipate how much support would be needed in the self-paced course. And so we thought they would come through our platform. And then we realized that we did open a Discord channel, and that Discord channel became the primary way you're doing it. So we have a full-time staffer over there answering questions. Doesn't mean we'll get to every single question on Discord, but there is some support in there. And so Andrew's in there every day. In addition to his teaching duties, he's helping you with some of the problems. So like, post it up in there. And maybe we can get you some help. In addition to, like, there's a lot of people in the Discord channel that also help you that don't work for Coder Foundry. So there's a lot of interesting conversations in there. So if you take the self-paced course, you're not stuck necessarily. It's not quite like taking it in person virtual, but like we try to like help as much as we can.
Yeah. Which is win-win too. If you're somebody who can, so we kind of teach this in the virtual class, and we've always kind of had this as a thing. Like, if you're ahead of the game in the class, we encourage you to like help the person just behind you, because it's win-win. Not only do you help that person, but you also help yourself. You re-solidify your knowledge on that one topic, and it's like if you can teach it to somebody, it's the best form of learning.
Yeah,
and I would say this understand it.
So that they don't misunderstand, we don't do that as the primary teaching vehicle. Like
no.
Yeah, like our instructors are there every day, but we also say, hey, if you can help someone out and reteach them, it does solidify your learning, because it's more like a lot of like rubber duck debugging, where you're just talking through the issue and working through the problem and solving the problem. Like, hey, try this, do that. And so I think it does help them a lot, for sure.
Definitely. One other thing to talk about then that we saw in the news for, we will get to questions, by the way. I promise you, I've been queuing up your questions, so I have queued them up. So if you type them in there, you don't have to type them in again. I've got them. I've queued them up, and we'll go through them when we get to them. But we talked about Nike before getting into the metaverse. Now they purchased this other company, Artifact, to get into the metaverse even more. They're like buying up companies now too.
So what I think is important for you to note as a coder here is, it's not that Nike's doing it. It's the fact that they purchased an NFT startup and a collectible startup. So if you throw your hat in the game, one of these bigger companies could snap you up, and or you just outright compete with them. And I think that this is Web 3.0, obviously, blockchain development, NFTs, and that kind of thing. So learning how to build these things, you could start your own company. You can work for these companies. There's going to be a fortune made in the Web 3.0 space. There's someone that's going to invent something. Hopefully it's me, but like that makes $1 billion, you know. So like, but like I think that it's going to change. And in addition to that, with AR, that's what we're talking about with the JavaScript video. Is really it's about this Web 3.0 change and this AR screen shift change. And then when that happens, that the tooling changes, and the best position right now is a general purpose language like C# that's going to be able to run on all these devices. So I do think that the change is coming, and it's just an opportunity for you to like re-engage, relearn, or reskill up, or push your career in a different direction. It's going to be exciting stuff.
Okay, one last thing before we go to questions too. Saw this story as well this morning. It's like, it doesn't take much to try and I don't hunt for these stories either. Like, these just like,
no, we're not like looking for them. They just come up, you know.
They just come up, and it's just like, wow, okay, that's interesting. Another interesting story about AR stuff. What a surprise. So OPPO or OPPO, not quite sure. They're going to have this Air Glass assisted reality device. China early next year. It seems more like a heads-up display style device. It's like this sits over your ear, and this is like that single lens. It's kind of a little bit Borgish, right?
It is.
It's kind of interesting, but you know, I mean, this is probably an initial kind of, you know, it's an overlay of reality, right? So it's interesting.
And I think the first gen of these things, what I'm talking about, will be like this, like where you're getting contextual information based on your location, where you're at. So hyperlocal ads, hyperlocal stuff, and then it has an earpiece, so it's more like an earbud with a screen that's over one of your eyes. And so, but the way that works, it'll be projected on a larger screen out in front of your field of view. And I think that's what Apple's working on. I think that's what a lot of these companies are going to work on. Google, Microsoft, all of these kind of companies are going to put out some big devices, you know, with the big goggles. And then they're going to have these Bose type. If you look at the Bose glasses, this is kind of where I think it's going to settle down within the next year and a half.
Yeah. And this is lightweight too. Look, 30 grams, about an ounce. It's crazy. Look what it's also powered by. Look again. ARM for the win.
A mobile ARM processor.
It does seem like that's going to be the way. These ARM processors seem to be the way that these things are going to get powered. Kind of interesting.
And so it's running its own OS, which is interesting. So like, I think even the OSs are changing, and people don't, when this happens, everything has to change. Now, does that mean that JavaScript can't work on these? It doesn't mean that. It just probably, the way we build things today is going to change over the next 2 years. And then the people that adopt this early on are going to be the ones that win.
You know, it's funny. You know? We were talking about this morning too. We get a lot of pushback on like our JavaScript video, and on like, this isn't going to change forever. And it's like a couple of things we were talking about this morning.
One guy left a quote: "It won't change for a century." Like JavaScript's going to be here for 100 years. I mean, I would take that bet.
Absolutely. Oh, I would 100% take that bet. I don't care what those odds are. I would take that bet today that it is not in here in 100 years' time.
There's no way it's going to be here in 100 years. No question. You know, 100 years. Like, what were we doing 100 years ago? Probably riding a horse. I mean, like, you know, like,
I mean, early automobiles, right? I mean, that's
1920. I mean, like, you know, I mean, like,
Yeah, it's craziness.
People were still shoeing horses. I mean, I'm sure there were stables and everything in every city in America.
Yep.
Now you don't.
It's funny because somebody had left an interesting comment on one of our videos. They were talking about, 10 years ago, that physical media was the thing. DVDs, Blu-rays were the thing, and it was joked about when Netflix first came out that would be like, of course we won't be like, we want to own the physical like thing. Why would we buy a digital thing that we don't own? Like we want the physical thing. That's what we were kind of taught, right? That's what we were kind of conditioned to believe. And look where we are today. I mean, yes, DVDs and Blu-rays exist, but they are minuscule compared to where they were 10 years ago.
Exactly. And
Still
you know,
there,
it's just not, and I'm sure Blockbuster thought that VHS would stay around forever. And that's
of course
what they thought.
did. That's why they didn't pivot quick enough. Talked about that plenty of times. That's why they didn't make it. That is why they didn't make it.
I'm sure people warned them every day, hey, this stream is a thing. You're like, nah, we got it. They'll always want to come to the store. I can't imagine them not doing that.
I think they were going to, they offered to buy Netflix, or Netflix offered to sell them for a few $100 million, I think, at the time. I was like, you should have taken that.
Should have taken the deal. Should have taken the money, Toombs.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, should have bought that thing up.
All right, cool. Leave us a question. We'll answer your question, see what you're talking about. If you got a good comment, we'll put it on the screen and talk about it. If you have a burning question, hit us up on Super Chat, and we'd love to talk to you.
Yep, definitely. Skynet, I'm gonna call it right now. Skynet was not programmed in JavaScript.
No. Well, if we do, it'll be so slow, it'll be easy to beat. So that's for sure.
Oh, you just sorry, JavaScript people.
No, it'll run kind of like this, like the robot will be coming after you.
You know what? This is another thing we were talking about this morning too. It's reminded me. We're talking about phones this morning as well. So between the first iPhone and today, right? So between the very first generation iPhone and an iPhone 13, right, top of the range today, those devices are fundamentally the same. It is a touchscreen with a camera attached, that sits in your pocket, right? That's ultimately what it is. They haven't changed in however many years now. I don't know what year did we launch?
07.
So we're a chunk into this thing, and they haven't really changed. So where do they take that device? There's only so far you can take it. There's only so many new cameras you can put on it, how many better screens you can put on it, faster processors you can put in it. If you look at it, that's essentially what they've done. Those three things plus software.
So I was watching one of the business shows that I watch, and full disclosure, I own Apple stock, and Apple stock went through the roof last weekend, and they were
predicted to go to 210, by the way, too. So
and analysts were sitting there talking about on the show, the people on the show, they were saying they couldn't figure out why they're doing that because iPhone sales are slowing. Yeah. And what we know about the stock market and what we know about these people is they always say it's predictor of the future. It really means that these people running this are on the inside. They know what they're doing. Like, in other words, it's secret, it's an industry secret, but the insiders know they're building a new device because iPhone sales are slowing. And what else are they going to sell? They're going to sell you something else. I'm telling you right now that it is a glass that it's even beyond the one that they've shown at this point. It's not the goggles. It's going to look like what I'm wearing right here. That's what they're going to work on.
That's the end goal of it. Yeah.
That's what they have to build in order to keep, pumping up Apple. And if Apple's going up, of course, they're working on a car. They're probably working on a new OS. They're probably working on a lot of things at once because Google's doing it, which tells you, I'm sure Google knows kind of what they're doing. They how
you would hope
companies operate. They know they got people over there working there like, hey, tell us what's up over there at Apple.
You would hope. And the 17 here, just exactly what we're saying there. Yes, companies have to understand the design part. And this part, they will nail. I have no doubt they will nail it.
Apple will absolutely nail it. I mean,
I have no doubt they will. They nailed the iPhone. I mean, look where we are today with them. It's like you wouldn't call it bad design. No, because everyone copied it.
The problem with the current headsets is the computing power is in the headset itself. That's why they're so big.
It's bulky.
They have to cool them. They have the processor, the store, everything's in there. What I'm telling you is this will just be the screen and you'll carry the computing device in your pocket and it'll work wirelessly between the glass.
Initially that's what's going to happen. Long term, that's not going to be the case because everything will shrink down.
They can miniaturize it and make it smaller. I mean, but there's that's all this is going to be.
Ultimately, Lara, I could see that being a thing for sure.
Well, Claire, if you go Google this right now, AR contacts, there are research projects in universities right now that have done some low resolution contacts right now.
Yeah, this is not sci-fi anymore.
It's not sci-fi. This is not what we're not talking about like Minority Report or anything like that. This is things that people are actively working on that are actually building. And when Google starts staffing up divisions, this isn't an R&D project, Kevin. They've hired senior whatever, and they're staffing this up because they've already said, here's the things we're going to build. They had their whiteboard session, whatever. We're going to build this, this, and this. The plans are already drawn up, and now they're in the execution phase. And it's going to take them, 12 to 18 months to build this new OS, probably?
Yep.
They know how to build OSs. It's not like a hard problem for Google
they're not
to
starting
solve.
from total scratch, are
they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And so, I think they will do it. And, Microsoft will make similar announcements around the HoloLens. It'll just be probably very, very soon. HoloLens will be renamed to the Surface headset or whatever they're going to call it.
Yeah, whatever terrible name they're going to choose.
Yeah. So,
hey, if you need some help with that, Microsoft, just hit us up. We have some better names than you can pick. I guarantee it.
HoloLens
hey, look,
6.
Lucas here. Lucas is here. Lucas, hey.
Hey, Lucas, what's up?
Good to see you. So, how long, or virtually see you, I guess. How long do you think before the AR devices switch from using location data to image processing at the environment you're in? Yeah, that's definitely going to be a thing. That's definitely going to be a thing. So, I would say so iPhones right now have these LiDAR detectors, right, which sense the environment. I would say that's it's almost like mapping that to a known thing is going to be almost maybe not, I wouldn't say out of the gate, but not far off.
So HoloLens right now has a mapping environment thing. So that's what you do is when you're building a HoloLens game, you let it map the room and it can map in real time. So it can place objects where it needs to be. I think you're going to see location data plus probably a LiDAR map. I think what they'll do is also, if you think about the way Google and Apple work, is they'll probably also pre-cache those. So, and you're thinking, no one's going to drive around and do Street View. Well, Google did. So they'll drive around and LiDAR map everything. And then when you're in there, you prefetch the LiDAR maps already. And so I think those are some of the things that could happen to make it faster. It'll take years for that to happen, but real-time processing of mapping exists already in HoloLens. And it did take a special CPU to do it. Hence the reason what we believe Apple made the M1 process anyway is because they're we need to do this, glass needs to do this certain thing. We need a CPU that we can design and control and power up. And I think that's why they built it. So you're going to see that's already a reality. Question is, when will it get into a glass?
Lucas has a follow-up too. Another thing to talk about. Do you think it's become more difficult, expensive to project this AR imaging onto prescription lenses? No, I think they'll have thought about that straight out of the gate. I mean, right now you can buy, so if you buy an Oculus today, right, the lenses that are in it obviously aren't prescription. You can buy prescription lenses for an Oculus right now today. You send off your prescription, they'll send you back lenses. It's going to be a standard thing.
And Lucas, it's just glass. You got to think about this. It's just glass. So this glass that's in my honey or plastic or whatever this is in my lens here, the projection mechanism is projecting that onto something else and bouncing that off of a lens inside the glass that makes it appear out here in your field of view. So if you look at Pepper's Ghost from the 1800s, that's essentially what a lot of these are based on. Then there's other bouncing them right off the retina is another thing that's doing, so that your retina perceives the view. I think that could be harmful for your vision. So I like the one that bounces it inside of a 45-degree angle and then bounces that image right through the glass. So, but we'll see what they come up with and how it works.
Yep.
So I don't think it's expensive at all. I think it's a different piece of glass.
Yeah, I think that's something they're going to have to have thought about straight out of the gate. I really do. Yep. And if they haven't solved it for themselves, somebody else will solve it through some kind of third-party something that will, just like the Oculus is. So you're not buying the lenses from Oculus directly. You're buying them from a glass manufacturer, basically.
Yep, exactly.
Lenses. But yeah, interesting stuff, definitely. Okay,
cool.
Let's do some questions. Oh, actually, look. Then it says an AR hat would be cool. Interesting.
Okay.
So you don't wear it on your face, you wear it on your head.
You wear it on your head, and then it flips down, and you flip it up.
Interesting. Yeah, it could be interesting. So that's kind of that reminds me of the
a Boba Fett helmet.
Maybe it's like a helmet.
And gives you AR.
Maybe this is the new thing. Yeah, it's COVID protection /AR headset. helmet, whatever you want to call it. It's funny.
The Mandalorian helmet. That's what we need, man.
It reminds me of, you remember when we went to play Ghostbusters in New York?
Yeah.
The headsets they have there, so they are VR headsets, but you do wear them more on your head, and they do kind of, you don't wear them like a traditional Oculus, they kind of folded down onto your face.
Yeah.
Maybe something a little bit like that. Interesting.
Stormtroopers. I mean, it can happen.
We don't have themed.
We're masked every day already, so like, might as well.
Yeah,
just
we're
get
all walking
a
around
stylish
with our
helmet.
Star Wars helmets on that have AR built in.
Yeah.
That'd be. I'm up for that.
With the voice modifier, so you can sound like a stormtrooper. That'd be even better.
Oh yeah, there you go. There you go. I like it. Okay, let's do some questions. Here we go. So Polani, I hope you're still here. You spammed the chat about 85 times this question, so hopefully you're still here. So how to do projects from scratch? We have to code, or we can use the same, or can we use the resources online? Scratch.
So it gets into how to do projects. How do I do a project?
Yeah, I'm guessing it's like copying a project or coming up with your own.
Here's what we say is you got to start somewhere. So you're typically going to start with a course that you either get for free, you buy, you go to a boot camp, whatever it is, you learn the basics how to do it. And so let's say that you take your Udemy course, you pay $12 for, and you build a project in there. What you need to do then is turn around and rebuild that again, see if you can do that without the course. And then once you can achieve that, then the third thing is, how do I take it a step further? Or can I change what it does? So for example, if you did a to-do list, can you change that to a recipe maker, an address book, those kind of things. And so then you basically expand upon the project. And that's how you do it. It's not hard. You just got to go through the effort of doing it. It's a little frustrating at first and kind of crazy, and you're typing stuff in you don't understand, and we get all that. But repetition leads to success.
There you go. Is a what is .NET used for? What is the real question? What isn't it used for?
Yeah, so like right now, .NET's cross-platform, open source. It builds everything, and so like right now, you can obviously heavily used in the web environment. .NET MAUI that will be released later this year will be in cross-platform mobile and desktop development. Today, still WinForms and WPF in the desktop environment is still the predominant way that most desktop apps are built. I know there's Java, I know there's other ways to do it. Then there's also the services and the cloud platforms, which is Web API, which really lends back into ASP.NET. All of those things, and then inside of game development, you have Unity, which is C# is the language for inside of Unity. You also have some support for C# on Unreal in certain use cases. It's primarily C++. And then there's some use for machine learning. It's not as strong as pure Python, but like what I've been saying about this for the longest time is that Microsoft is going to make machine learning easier to do, and that's the purpose of ML.NET, is to make this easy. And then with their cloud platform with Azure, what people don't understand is the amount of services available that you really can train a data set, do all those kind of things by just loading your data set up into the Azure. So like there's just a lot of things inside .NET, which is the reason when you look at all of this as a whole and you stand back and look at it and you're like, holy crap, I mean, Microsoft has a lot of things going on here. I should probably learn the primary language that's behind all of this, which is C#. So like, because it hits so many use cases, which means companies in every facet are adopting this because of whatever their reason is, and then they adopt C# because that's how you build it on the Microsoft stack. So it's used for a lot of things.
I'm just gonna throw this up here and just dismiss it instantly. Good one. You should go write a jokes for somebody, because that.
It could be maybe serious or not, but I would say that if you're looking at a software engineering position, and I'm going to say if you're in the U.S., projects absolutely matter. If you're interviewing at a FANG company, which is maybe Netflix, Google, or whatever, it can be skewed towards leak code. I'm here to tell you, if you can't build a web application, you're not going to get a web development job. I don't care
how good you are at leak code. Yeah, I don't care what your leak code score is.
It doesn't matter. Like, it's like, and so like, if you can show that you can build these things, you can win. Now, can you use leak code in with your projects as well and learn how to answer some of these these coding whiteboard type questions? Absolutely. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying when you get that advice, people listen to me. I don't know who MCon is. When he's saying that all you need is leak code, they're wrong. I've met people that they've studied for 6 months after whatever on leak code. They still haven't broken in. Yep. You have to be able to build a project. You have to be able to deliver the thing that they're asking you to do. Leak code doesn't teach you how to build a website. It's going to teach you how to solve certain array problems and certain other problems, and that's great. And you can sit there and say, well, I can learn the other part. Well, the other person's going to come in and go, yeah, I knew several of those leak code questions. Let me show you the website I built. They're going to get hired over you every single time. So do both. You need projects.
Cool. So Key, I'm hoping it's Key195. Do you think MS damaged their relationship with OSS with the hot reload issue?
Nah. They fixed it. Move on. I mean, like, you know, it's like, I mean, people make missteps all the time. It's just that Microsoft is popular, and so therefore they get a lot of heat. If you follow Apple for any length of time, they get heat all the time from the press about whatever it is. You know, like, you know, yeah, you know, Google's the same way. They get heat all the time for whatever it is. That's just the nature of being in a Fortune 100 company, or maybe one of the largest companies in the world, that you're not going to get everything right. But they're still committed to open source. I mean, like, .NET's still open source. It's just that I think primarily they were trying to find reasons to push Visual Studio above other things. And I get it. They picked the wrong feature to do that with, and it was quickly corrected. We're talking about a matter of days. It's not like this happened over 10 years and like finally they relented. It was like over the weekend, they're like, oh, brah, that's the wrong one to pick. We could pick something else. But like, you've already had this down at the .NET level, down at the command level prompt. It needs to stay there so that these other people integrating with .NET can still use hot reload. So I don't think it's a big deal. They relented, put it back in. It's all good. Still works.
Let's see, Sam, first time to the channel. Awesome. Well, thank you, Sam. Thank you for joining us. We appreciate it. Finished my BA in political science and law, but believe becoming a developer will tool me out really well and advise someone willing to go to war for himself.
I think you want to start your own thing by what you mean by that, or work for yourself.
Yeah, I would assume so.
Yeah. So hopefully if you're really thinking about that right away before you start learning how to code, and you're thinking, I don't want to work at a cube or work for another company, I want to work for myself, I'm assuming, Sam, you already have an idea. If you have no idea whatsoever, then you're going to lean towards consultancy, doing freelance gigs, those kind of things. But you do have to spend time developing your skills. No one's going to hire you without the skills. So spend time learning, building projects, building your own things, and then hang your shingle out and, you know, make it happen. That's what I did. I mean, that's what a lot of people do. So you become a salesperson more than you do a coder when you do that. But it's definitely possible to do.
Oh, here's a good segue, actually. Good segue question. Yeah. David, thanks for the question. What do you think is the hardest part about building websites for local small businesses?
So I think you have, number one, pricing. Number two, scope creep. And number three is handling objections. And then four would be actually getting clients.
Yeah, the sales part of it is an underestimated, difficult part.
Part of the sales process is saying, hey, I'm going to build your website for $500. This is what you get. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah. Nothing more, nothing less. This is what you get. And if you don't clearly delineate that, you'll be integrating PayPal and like, I want a DoorDash competitor, and like, you know, like, it's like,
that's the thing. Like, your local pizza shop's gonna be like, I thought I was getting DoorDash. You're like, we agreed on a static web page, did we not?
No, exactly. And then also getting sign off on look and feel. So definitely prototyping and all that kind of stuff becomes super important when building local websites. And so that you can get them sign off on the look and feel before you spend, you know, 50, 60, 80 hours building out something that they come and go, nah, I don't like blue.
Right. You're ultimately dealing with people, and it's like getting that part right is the hard part. Because you're right.
Getting paid up front is the other part of it. Don't do pay on delivery.
You'll also get somebody you're ultimately going to get difficult people, right? You're going to get somebody who gets stuck on, like you say, they're going to be like, that color blue, I don't like it. They're not going to have a suggestion for you. They're just going to say they don't like it. It's not blue enough. Like, Like, what does that mean? It's
So
not blue enough.
You're guessing in the blue platform. You
Yeah.
know, which blue do you like? You know, I can't tell you. I'll tell you when I see it.
I just know I don't like it. Exactly. Yeah, I'll tell you when I see
Run
it.
from those customers. You're never going to win. So
yeah, that can be a problem.
hope that helps.
Yep. Thanks for the question. Let's see. Ridge Raider says, interesting, Windows 11 will be able to run Android apps. Yeah, I saw that. Just in case Android OS takes a hit.
So I don't think Android OS is going to take a hit. What I'm telling you is they're building a new OS to run AR things. And then that OS we run in AR glasses, which could in turn replace what we think of as the smartphone today. I know that's blasphemy. That'll never happen. But like, you know, VHS tapes went away too. So, you know, so did bag phones. They went away too.
When's the last time you bought a DVD too, though? I mean, you know, we're talking about something not that long ago.
Things change. And Windows 11 or Windows in general is running on ARM processors. So like, that's why they can run Android apps natively inside the browser. So I think there's a lot of movement inside of Microsoft to make sure that they can also take this next leap if there is a major OS shift. There's always opportunities for the next company to build the next OS that everybody wants, which Google won with Android. Clearly, they won with Android. Microsoft never really could build that. So
he's talking about in case phones lose popularity in years. So I guess you can still run the software, I guess. Yeah. I mean,
exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Well, don't forget, on the other side of this too, Windows running the Android apps. On a Mac, you can run iOS apps too. That's a relatively new thing that came in with like Maverick or whatever it was, the last OS. So they're definitely thinking about that too, running mobile apps on a iPad or on a desktop.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what .NET MAUI is about, is running these different apps on different OSs. So you can just publish there and it just works. So it's definitely changing. So I think it's good. Gives us lots of opportunity to build stuff.
Here's a question we may have had a differing opinion on a while back.
Yeah.
So new M1 Max Pro, is it worth upgrade? 2016 i5 13-inch, so 2016. So it is. So the 2016 i5 is a little long in the tooth. I get it. It's a little bit older. I upgraded from a 2015. Mine was an i7 though, so maybe it's about comparable, a year difference maybe. Yeah. So it is worth upgrading for .NET Web Dev right now. Any thoughts?
Check. You need to check it right now. So like, and I haven't looked at parallels today. So
it's constantly changing. That's the issue.
Yeah, if you're running Windows for development, and that's what you want to do, and you want to run Visual Studio for Windows, you got to run Parallels. Currently, as I understand it, Parallels, and this is like today, December, whatever the date is, the 15th or whatever it is. It's not even the 15th. What's 14th. The day? The 12th or 13th?
14th.
14th. Yeah, Spider-Man comes out tomorrow. So like the new MacBook won't run Windows on Parallels, as I understand it.
Yeah, it's running like some developer ARM version.
Right, because of licensing Windows on an ARM device that's not a certain Qualcomm chip. So like that means that apparently Microsoft signed an agreement with Qualcomm to run Windows on their ARM chip, and that's the licensing they have. And maybe Qualcomm made some investments with them and they had a joint venture to make that happen. Since that, Apple comes out with their own ARM chip, and so now they've got to wait till that expires, and then I think eventually Windows will.
And the rumor is it expires soon.
Yeah,
that's all we know.
Could you use Visual Studio for the Mac and build .NET in that? Yes. Just understand that there are limited projects, and if you take Learn.Coder Foundry, we're still coding on Windows today in Parallels or on a Windows machine. So that's my thought. Just
right now today it's limited, but it will. I think it is. Eventually it'll be all normal like it is today with the Intel-based Macs. Yeah. It'll just be we won't even think about it. It'll be great. But right now it's kind of like.
So what does that mean for you? You may have to. I don't know. I don't know what I would do right now. If it was up to me, I'm not buying an M1 Pro 1 Max. I'm not doing it just until that's fixed. That's for me. Yep. But I have an i7, one that I bought last year is 2019 i7, something like that.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the issue. You're in that position, Lordison, where it's like, it's obviously older. Mine was getting to the point where it was almost unusable. Like it was just, it was so slow. Especially compared to I built a PC last year. Like I bought a custom PC last year, and it's like there was night and day difference between the two. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And I was like, what have I been missing here? So I get it. It's just
They're definitely fast though. The M1's Max is definitely fast. I mean, you can equate to that.
But like you said, if you want to develop on Windows, it's kind of tough.
Just look at Parallels. They're the ones that's gonna. They'll tell you kind of what the roadmap is. That's the whole purpose of Parallels, is to run Windows on your Mac. So they know kind of what the roadmap is. I would just consult with what they've published.
Yeah, and they do have an article on their website too about running the developer version, say ARM version of Windows. Obviously, they address it, so you can go see it on there.
Yeah.
Yep. Let's see. Takish says, I can't grasp the basics of CSS. I found it hard to learn. You guys have any recommendation to get good at learning the language?
It's just going to take a lot of practice. First thing is selectors. Understand like #, what's that a selector inside of a HTML document? What's it do? And then once you understand the selectors and how you can select individual elements out of it, then basically you're changing things like color, font, and size and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I would say CSS is very deep, right? There's a lot to it. Don't feel like you need to understand all of it.
And then, honestly, what we do here at Foundry is we just teach Bootstrap from the start. And still, Bootstrap is probably 80% of all websites run on Bootstrap. It's definitely the CSS language of choice, or CSS framework of choice in the business. So just learn Bootstrap. They make it fairly easy to understand and do.
Yep. And then you just slap it on a bunch of classes.
If you want to do animations, I'm not up on that. If you want to learn how to make CSS art, I'm not up on that.
I saw your CSS picture yesterday.
Yeah. I just used a converter because like everyone's always talking about like, hey, I made this thing in CSS. And like, yeah, I took a picture of my studio and made it in CSS. You know, like just kind of
just put it through an algorithm and it spits it out thing. Like, yeah, what's the point in that?
Yeah. I could change the header on Twitter with my CSS art now. I can do anything.
There you go. I'm going to go make my own.
Yeah, I would say you're just gonna take a lot of practice, take a course on it. I mean, there's a lot of courses out there. You know, if you want to learn Bootstrap at a hard level, I mean, you can check us out, learn.coderfoundry. We can teach you Bootstrap for sure. That's how we do it.
You fundamentally got to learn two different kinds of things. The CSS, I think you've got to learn layout, and however you choose to do that. The easiest way to do it is definitely through the Bootstrap grid system. So layout is definitely a thing to learn through CSS, and then secondly, styling. So if you learn those two things, you're well on your way to understanding CSS. I know somebody's going to yell at me like it's way more than that, and I get it. It is. There's a lot more stuff to it.
That's where you
start. Fundamentally, that's where you got to start somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can learn Flexbox if you want to do that for if you just want to stay vanilla.
Flex and grid. There's a bunch of different layout things you can.
Yeah, but I think Flex is kind of where I would be at over grid right now currently, and then Bootstrap is just going to give you a lot of things to be able to build stuff fairly easily.
Makes it easy. So yeah, start with those. And how to learn it, like there's a million different ways to learn it. But definitely through practice. Go play in a code pen, right? Go put up some boilerplate HTML and play with some CSS stuff in code pen. And actually see what it does and try and get it to work there. The best way to do it.
All right, so if you got a burning question, hit us on the super chat. If you want to buy some tacos today and you feel like our tacos need to be bought, you can buy some tacos. But
if not, I'm just going to do the rest
chat. If you got something important, so we're running out of time here, about 15 minutes.
Vivek has another question. Did we do a Vivek question? I think we did already, but here's another one anyway. Is it okay to have only one good/complex project in your portfolio? Is it also okay to not share? So let's address that one first. We'll come back to the other one in a second. Is it okay to have only one good complex project?
Here's what I think on that, and we do have students that come through our program that don't graduate. And when we work with those students that don't graduate, because we think our bootcamp's the hardest in the world. It's very difficult to build all the things we're trying to do. We work with those students on a one-on-one basis, and we say, I need you to get one project on that thing. I need you to finish one of these projects and then learn how to talk about that one project, and it can get you a job. So if you have one complex project like a bug tracker or a blog, and you can talk about it at a deep level, it's definitely good enough to get a job. We've seen more people actually not pass Coder Founders to our standards, which is build all 3 MVC projects, build your portfolio, put the non-JavaScript things on there, all that stuff to a suitable level that we like, and we grade it and we say, hey, you pass. But if for whatever reason you only can get like part of the course complete and only can build one thing, we've seen those people, and I'm thinking one guy in particular, that his first job was leaving Microsoft because he just built the bug tracker. That's all he built. That's all he did. But he could talk about it, and that's the other thing that was real important. He could talk about it, and I think that's why he got a job. He could talk about his one project, so it's good enough.
I'll also say it reminds me of
address. I don't. Someone asked me this yesterday. It's funny that this question come up. A company asked me this yesterday and said, "You need to put their real names, not their nicknames, and their physical address on the portfolios. You need to tell students to do that." And I responded back with, "No, we don't. You can put your location of city and state if you're in the U.S.
Yeah.
But your physical address, they're not coming to your house for Thanksgiving dinner. They're not sending you, a hiring packet. I think I definitely wouldn't do that. Phone number is one of those things. Are they going to call you? You definitely need a contact form. I would put the contact form so it's behind, and that way you don't even have to put your email address on there. But you can put your email address if you want to. But your phone number, if you're looking for a job and you're actively searching, maybe you invest in a Google number.
Yep.
That you.
I mean, it's we don't have to invest. It's free. Just go grab a Google number, one that you can use during your job search, and then when you're not using it, just shut it down.
Just shut it down when you're and if you're not really actively searching, you change your portfolio to say, hey, reach out to me on the contact form, or hit this email address below. And maybe I have an email address that I don't publish, that I don't sign up for anything or anything like that. I just, when I have correspondence, sometimes I'll use it and I'll check it. That way it's always clean.
Yep.
I don't have to go and go through 5,000 emails I get per day in my corporate email here at Coder Foundry. So
I would say phone numbers are free, email addresses are free. Just go
address specifically isn't important. I mean, now
it's a weird one.
The reason people ask this is because when they're in their hiring process, the reason this guy asked it was he's trying to figure out if you're in the U.S. or not. That's what's happening. Okay. So a lot of people apply for the job overseas, and they're like, "No, I need you in the U.S." And they want to know where you're located at. So I think that's fine because even remote jobs, I've seen this recently. Even for remote jobs, they want you in the state of Michigan, or within 30 miles of where, in case you have to come into the office or whatever. And so I do think they want you also in the U.S. to make sure you're in the same time zone. There's a lot of issues with, hey, I should be able to work purely remote from Australia. You can, except there's a 12-hour difference between us and you. Yeah. And so one of us has to stay up all night. Guess who it's going to be?
Exactly.
Hopefully it's you. It's because I want to work during the day, so they kind of, they're just trying to find out where you're in fact located. So I think you can put city and state if you're in the US.
I think city and state is totally acceptable. Because you're right. They may be ultimately thinking as well, in sometime in the future, even though it's remote now, it may go to an in-office environment as well. And if you're close, that's going to make it easy for that to happen. If you're on the other side of the world, that's going to make that impossible to. Or in a different state, it makes it way more difficult. You're going to have to move.
Anyway, so I think that's kind of how it works out. So that's why they're asking for it. If you've seen that, you're probably asking that because people are asking you that question. And that's why they're asking it. And I think it's city and state's good enough. And you can put city and country if you're outside the country looking in the U.S. I think it's fine.
If you want to leave your location off it, you can, but just be prepared to get asked the question. Or
you could get a soft no if it's not on there. I don't know where they're at.
That's true.
Keep looking. Yep. So, if you're in London, England, just tell them you're in London, England, but don't put, the address to your flat. I mean, that's just asking to be identity theft. So
that's asking for trouble. Yeah. Let's see. Batman Elon Musk here, which is Time Person of the Year, by the way. Did you see that this year?
I saw that. Yeah.
Kind of crazy. So, how to cope things when you feel you're hardly making progress when learning programming, and panic attack, FOMO, something like that.
So here's the thing that I've written about this extensively, Batman.
Slash Elon.
Slash Elon. What I think is the number one thing about FOMO, which sometimes can lead to panic attack, which can lead to depression, which can lead to you quitting. There's a lot of these things that float around this. We work with students every single day trying to make these hard life-changing things. And so
we did get a super chat. It didn't come up.
You got a super chat. It didn't come up. I heard the cat though.
So I'll get you there in a second. N17,
and we'll put NC17 Zero's chat up there. So one of the things I think you can do is resist the urge to compare yourself to others. Think of it more of like if you've ever seen Lord of the Rings, Frodo, when he meets the elf in the forest and she says, the journey is yours and yours alone. If no one can do it, if you can't do it, no one will. No one is going to learn this for you. And whatever else anyone else is doing is irrelevant. What you need to do is acquire enough skill to get that first job. How long is that going to take you? Could take 3 months, could take 6 months, could take a year. Doesn't matter. And so quit looking at 10-year plus veterans and go, wow, he's really smart. I can't learn that. Well, they've been doing it for 10 years. You got to understand that, so like look at what do I need to know to get a job and just learn that. Just focus in on that. And how long it takes is how long it takes. And then begin to, that way you don't have to have FOMO, which is like, if I don't get there next week, I'm too old. We see that all the time. Like if I'm not a coder by 30, I'm just going to the old folks home. That's what I'm going to do, Kevin. I'm going to move in there, assisted living, and drink from straws, drink my dinner from straws. That's what's going to have to happen. That's not the case. We see people in all ages do it. So there's no timeline. There's no deadline. Don't put that pressure on yourself. If you have to learn it while working, learn at night, learn on the weekend, and just slowly build your skills out, you'll get there. And that way you can reduce panic attack. The reason you have panic attacks is because you put this arbitrary deadline that says, I must do it by next Thursday. And then you see a video on YouTube that says, learn JavaScript in 5 minutes, and you watch the video and you're like, I didn't learn anything. I mean, like, I must be stupid. It's like, well, no, it's because you can't learn JavaScript in 5 minutes. It probably takes a lot of code. Someone asked on Twitter today and I responded, like, how do I learn JavaScript? How do I get good at JavaScript? By coding. There's no secret to it. Just do it. I mean, like, just make stuff and keep making it until you can't make it, until you can or you can't. And don't worry about what other people are doing. Just focus on your journey and your journey alone. I think you'll be happy. You're making progress. You're probably making more than that. All right, from N17.
So N17 gave us a $5 to go get NFTs, which are non-fungible tacos.
That's right.
I like it. Thank you for the super chat.
Thank you, man. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Let's see what BK's got going on. BK says, what are your thoughts about Azure Blockchain? Someone wanting to become a blockchain developer, should they learn the Azure Blockchain, or would it be better to learn another language?
I'm going to tell you what I'm learning. Okay, and this will clue you in. I'm not going to tell you what I'm building, but I'm learning and I'm more interested in smart contracts right now. So that's on the blockchain. So mine is Ethereum and Solidity. So I'm more interested in that. If you're looking at blockchain for other purposes, I have not looked at the Azure blockchain, but I'm sure that there's API for that. And just, I don't know, I'd have to go look to see kind of what you have to do to build it. But that is something that you could do. I don't know what they're bringing to the blockchain development. Is that the universal utility way to do it that's not based on Ethereum? If that is true, then that's kind of cool. And then you can see that being a low-cost way to build blockchain type things. So I would definitely look at it. I'm looking at Solidity right now, and that's what I'm basing my things in and around Ethereum and Solidity. But I'll take a look at it, BK, and I'll send you a DM on Twitter.
Okay, let's help a couple of.
Me and BK are buddies, man. We talk about the Raiders on Twitter. I noticed he didn't text me.
I was going to say, you don't want to talk about the Raiders this week, do you?
We didn't talk about it after Sunday. Neither one of us tweeted. It's like the thing was over in 5 minutes.
That's funny. I saw part of the first quarter of that game. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be a blowout. This is gonna be bad.
It was. Oh my gosh! The first quarter, I just quit.
Yeah.
I literally turned it off and played Destiny. That's what I did. I didn't even watch the rest of the game. I was so upset.
Bad. It was bad. Let's help a couple of younger guys here then.
Okay.
So, Saeed here is 13. As a starter, which language is recommended? I'm not going for a job. I'm only 13. I just need an ability to like make stuff by coding. Which language is recommended?
All right. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Since you're 13, when you say make stuff, the first thing you need to decide is what stuff am I going to make? Am I making a website? Am I making a mobile app? Am I making a game? Because once you decide what you want to make, then guess what? The language is going to do it. This is why I would say, when you'll probably, if you put this on Twitter, they'll say, learn Python. you know? And if you're
yeah.
in certain parts of the world, they'll say, learn Java, you know? And so like, they're never asking you, what are you trying to make? And so like, if you're making mobile apps, I think you learn cross-platform mobile development, which is, there's 3 flavors of that right now, with it's Xamarin, soon to be .NET MAUI, you've got Flutter, and you got React Native. Other than that, I think you're wasting your time learning anything else, because I think that's the predominantly ones used in the industry, and that's the one I would pick. If you're learning website development, you've got to learn 5 things. You got to learn HTML, you got to learn CSS, you got to learn JavaScript, you got to learn some kind of SQL, and then you got to learn some kind of server backend language like C# or Java. The first 4 are non-negotiable. That's what you got to know. The last one, you can do it with Node.js and JavaScript. I think C# is a better choice there, but that's just my opinion. You can use whatever you want. If you're building games, I think there's only one choice at this point, which is Unity. You can use Unreal to do it. You can use some other lesser known game engines to do it, but Unreal has kind of a prohibitive cost for the indie developer trying to learn, where Unity can come in with a really good free platform that you can build really complex games with. You're not gonna hurt yourself. And then that is definitely C# for sure. That's how you do it. So hopefully that helps. Make stuff needs to turn into make something specific. Figure out what you want to make. All right, cool. Got another sub there, John. Nice.
Let's see. Oh, cool. Let's see. Fjordlius wants to know, can we have C# algorithms, data structures in the self-paced course? There's a lot of course out there, but I trust Code of Foundry instructors.
Let me look into that. We're building other things right now. Let me look into that. Like,
it's not on the roadmap right now, is it?
Yeah, it's not important, because we cover things like enums and arrays and lists and generic lists and all that kind of stuff as you do your everyday programming, and models and objects and that kind of stuff. So we don't really have this computer science 101 type course that people want us to build, because we're more focused on building stuff, you know, like, and talking about the stuff that you built, so that you can explain to them how you would help them in a job. So that's more we're focused on. Right now, we're focused deep into Web API and Blazor, and that's the next content that we'll probably roll out. So after that, maybe, I mean, I think that we could fill that gap in, because a lot of people want it. And so like, we could definitely build something around in and around that. So.
Yep. Lucas has another question. What stack technology would you recommend for learning simple game state management with a couple of connected clients? For example, a simple online chess game.
So for simple games, and just for game state, you definitely can use SignalR to do those kind of things, where you have connected clients, definitely. But you also, once you go into Unity, if your front end of your game is in Unity, and you need to build like a cool chess thing, you're going to be Unity. But on top of that, you got to learn the different plugins to be able to do that. So multiplayer support is for Unity, but there's different ways that you can do that, and it's constantly evolving. There's some free ways and there's some paid ways for you to build multiplayer games. So if you need something super, super simple and you just want to do tic-tac-toe, for example, you definitely could do that through SignalR. And that, it becomes like a chat app at that point. You know, keeping up with the game and the moves and that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay. Let's do a few more here. Henry says, what's a reasonable hourly rate for a freelance web developer?
Depends on where you live.
Between here and here, right?
Yeah, depends on where you live and what you're willing to work for.
Yeah, there's no one answer to that question.
Yeah, I don't know where you live, Henry, and I don't know what your skills are. So like, if you're like super high skilled, you can get $150 an hour. You're working for Nike and those kind of guys. If you're down here making restaurant websites, what I would advise is, instead of doing it hourly, is come up with some packages that you can just roll out in 5 minutes. You know, so like, and you just charge them a flat fee, $500, and here's your website. Bam, I'm done. And then you don't have to get into the hourly rate. You get into a fixed fee. But you got to really know your scope creep when you do fixed fees, and then you can raise your hourly rate by doing fixed fee engagements. But if you can't get there and you just want to do all custom work, hourly rates can vary, you know, so it depends on who you're working for, who your target market is, how much money they have. But I mean, you know, think about it. Should you make anything less than $25 an hour? No, I don't think so. You can go
Trust
get a
me,
full-time
somebody
job
on Fiverr will undercut you. So it's like,
well, I think
there's always a race to the bottom in that. It's like lower quality, race to the bottom is tough.
Yeah, but like you can say, you can overcome that by saying, I will deliver, I will show up, I will make this, here's what you get. And you can raise your rate that way. Or you can just give them a fixed fee, and then that hourly is hidden in that, and they make it feel better. But a website should cost nowhere short of $2,000 if you're making a website that you have to start from scratch and make. If you're in the US. Now, if you're somewhere else, I don't know what the going rate is in India or China or London or, you know, South Africa. I don't know. I don't know what those rates were. In the US, $2,000 to $3,000 for a website isn't unheard of, and even more, depending on what it's got to do.
All right. Definitely.
But he said web developer, $50 an hour maybe.
Yeah. Okay, let's have somebody else on the younger end here then. Noah's 15, so he wants to do a degree apprenticeship, hopefully working for IBM in 3 years. That's awesome. Good to have an aspiration there. I like that. Go Big Blue. Let's have lots of time before. So 1, what other steps should I take to achieve my goal? And 2, is this a good idea?
So I think the aspirational goal to work for IBM in 3 years is great. Okay. Now, unless you have like an uncle or a mother or somebody that works at IBM and you know you have an in, like I don't want you to, I think that's good to have an aspirational goal, but I want you to think about not working for a company, but focus on the skill, the thing that you want to build. I want to be a web developer in 3 years. Could work for IBM, could work for Microsoft, could work for the hardware store down the street. It doesn't really matter doing that. So don't get hung up on what IBM does. They may not be here in 3 years. Who knows? I mean, so like, I'm sure they will, but like, so think about what you want to build, which is I want to be a website developer, I want to be a mobile developer, I want to be a game developer. And then that's what you learn. That's how you figure out what I want to learn how to do, because you're going to get hired at IBM for the specific skill that you have. So if you want to build OSs, C++ and C++ and C is where you need to start on and learn that kind of stuff. If you want to build websites, that's a different skill set. So know what you want to build first, then study that, and then start applying for jobs. Because promise you, when you're 18 or 19 and you're out there looking for a job, you won't care. I know you think that now, but you won't care 4 years from now if it's at IBM or Microsoft. You just want to get a paycheck, and that's really what you're looking for, is a paycheck. So hope that helps.
This refrigerator here is 13 too late. I don't
too
know.
Late, man.
It's 13 too late. It's 15 too late. I don't know. No, definitely not. Just in case you're thinking that. Like, oh. No.
Yeah.
Let's do one last one. We're a minute or so over. Let's do one last one.
Yeah,
I'll use this as a shameless plug. So Princess Lily wants to know, how's the self-paced course working out for you guys? I'm guessing you're asking us and not the people here. You get the people can answer too, but we'll give you our perspective on it if you want.
It's working good, man. I mean, we're still selling it every day. People are coming in, and so like we're working on it. We're releasing .NET 6 content next year. If you think about it, we're still very early in the process. It was released sometime in July. We're here in December. It's only been out for 4 months, and so we have broad and big aspirations. Everyone knows when I talk about all the things I want to do, we're like, there's a lot that we want to build with it. So we're going to continue to work on it. We've added more support options in Discord and that kind of stuff. So we didn't really think there'd be that many questions. So like, I mean, we knew there'd be questions. We didn't know there'd be the volume that there's numbers.
Right.
So we've since moved a staff member over to help out with that. So I think that'll help a lot. Too.
We have more content coming. The rest of the bug tracker parts coming. The Movie Pro stuff, finishing out the additional features on that's coming.
And then all .NET 6 new next year. Everything will be in .NET 6 next year. So like, and then we'll start working on .NET 7. So like, lots of stuff coming down the pipe. So it's working out good. I like it. Yep.
So shameless plug.
But 10,000 people that want to buy it, just let me know, and we can give you a group discount.
Yeah, that's something we haven't actually priced at. We haven't priced up group discounts yet.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll think about that. That's one thing we haven't done.
Yeah.
But yeah, we still think it's the best way to learn .NET. If you want to go self-paced, we still think it's the best way to do that, and it's definitely the most affordable way to do that.
Yeah.
So
pretty good. And so we have a coupon out right now, don't we?
We have a coupon out right now? We don't.
Oh, we don't. Okay.
We don't.
All right. No. Maybe we'll put one out for Christmas.
Yeah. Maybe we should. Maybe I'll do that today.
Christmas
if you guys want to buy the course, maybe I'll put a coupon code out today. You can check it out.
Yeah. Pay attention. Watch us on Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. Follow Kevin on Twitter. Follow Cutter Founder on Twitter. And if you're in a self-paced course, we'll put a coupon out there.
I'll tell you what, name the coupon now. What do you want it to be? What's the code going to be, and I'll make it that. You can choose.
Oh, let's see. I don't know. Let's think of some Christmas thing.
Yeah. Should we do snow? Should we do coupon code snow? Then I can make it snow. Look.
We can make it snow.
I can make it snow. Well, we should do that. I should have added our Christmas lights on. Look. Christmas lights.
Yeah, we should have. We should have put our lights on.
More
light it up.
But let's make it. Let's make coupon code snow. So coupon code snow. I'll put that up there. You guys can get 20% off.
On Twitter. And you can get it. Figure out where to do it and how to do it. All right, cool. We'll leave it up through Christmas next week. That's kind of cool.
It's coming around quick, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's it for us today, Kevin.
That's it.
All right.
We'll be back.
Appreciate it, you guys.
What are we? Tuesdays or Thursday?
We'll be back on Thursday. So good luck. Keep coding, and we'll see you on Thursday.
Catch you guys later.